White underbase settings in NeoStampa. It seems a little confusing until you actually learn what some of the stuff means, and then it's actually pretty straightforward. So today, let's show you how to understand white underbase in NeoStampa. All right, here we are. We're in NeoStampa. We have a scheme loaded. The schemes already automatically have a certain white underbase setting pre-set in them. And we're just gonna look here at the side. So we're gonna click on white effect inks. If you happen to have a UV DTF, this is where your varnish settings would be. But there are a couple options here for white underbase. You have flat. Some of you might be using flat. And you might be wondering, hey Jeremy, why are you using 80% white? Well, I did a test to find out what the optimal white underbase setting was, and you can find that video up in the corner or linked down in the description below. But basically, flat setting is just an even layer of white behind everything. Now, real quick, white for black media, white for gray media, these are not used for DTF. We're really just using flat and dynamic. Dynamic, you'll notice my at minimum ink is the same that my flat was. So this is your white underbase under the lightest, brightest colors. So like a very, very bright yellow or light yellow or a light cyan or something like that. Then ink or at ink limit, that's basically your darkest colors. So I did in my testing, I found out that I could go all the way down to 40% and still have it have good durability, good washability. The white underbase was an even enough coating that it would still work well. However, different than other RIP softwares is that NeoStampa doesn't do a lighter underbase just under black. It does it on all darker colors. So that's what the reference ink limit is. The reference ink limit is at the point where your inks equal that amount is when your white underbase is gonna be at 40%. In my case, you might have a different value. And you might be wondering, hey Jeremy, what the heck does that mean? Well, let's take black for instance. If you have a good, true rich black setup in your software, you are likely using 40% cyan, 40% magenta, 40% yellow, and 100% black. If you add all those up, that equals 220. So you might think that setting it at 220 would be the right move, but I would caution you with that, because if you have a color that is like 100% yellow, 100% cyan, and 20% magenta, that color needs a little bit more white than like a black would. So I'm actually going to encourage probably using a little bit higher of a value here. This is something you can definitely play with and adjust, do some testing on your own, but I'm generally going to probably go in like the 220 to 240 range, something like that, just to make sure that my really saturated bright colors aren't getting the white reduced too much. Because if we're going on a black shirt, it's dangerous. If you want to make it simple, just go with flat white underbase. But you won't get the added benefit of ink savings and all that. Now, what is the highlight effect? So this is your highlight white. So when it's white only in the graphic, you can actually have it boost the white a little bit. This is the part that's a little bit confusing. So our intensity value, basically what this is it is letting us take whatever's left over. So we have 100% of white to work with, and I chose 80%. Maybe you were at 60%, but I chose 80%. So if I want my highlight white to be at 90%, that's half of the remaining 20%, right? So I would set this at 50%. So this intensity value is the percentage of what's left over above and beyond this. Now the amplitude is basically how much of lighter colors is it grabbing. So this software kind of creates an infinite gradient. So in our white only, we're gonna be at 90%, but maybe it's like a 1% yellow or a 1% cyan, and we want that extra highlight white to grab that part of it a little bit. That's what this amplitude is. So it's basically like how much of the brighter, lighter colors it's grabbing onto. And a default setting that I've just been using as a whole has been 20%. I haven't found a really perfect test for this yet, but in my experience, the 20% is perfectly fine. Now, if you want to save these permanently to your scheme, you're gonna click the save icon right here. However, if you just wanna do it for this one graphic, you simply hit apply. Now, if you found this video helpful and you want more videos on NeoStampa, we have a course on our website available that covers all of the functions in the basic license of NeoStampa. So if you're interested, head on over to our store. You can pick that up. It's a permanent license. It's not like a monthly subscription thing. And we're constantly adding new lessons. As people ask questions, we're answering them with new lessons. And as there's updates or changes in the software, we're gonna update our course. If you have any questions or comments or something else you'd like to see, comment below, and I'll see you next time.